Good morning. Welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Tuesday, April 5th, 2011. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time in the U.S., 4:30 p.m. in London, 12:30 in Hamilton, and 10:30 a.m. in Mexico City. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. Former American Secretary of State Colin Powell is 74 years old today. Go to our main news. There was an aircraft disaster actually, at Kinshasa Zaire's airport yesterday. It was a UN plane. 32 of 33 people on board were killed. Kinshasa is the capital of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The plane was attempting to land. It was one of the worst disasters ever involving UN transport. 20 UN workers were on board the flight. The operator of the plane was the Georgian flag carrier Air Georgian Airways. They said that the entire flight crew was Georgian. A Reuters correspondent at the airport said that the plane was completely destroyed and the wreckage was lying at the end of the runway. The UN has a fleet of more than a dozen planes in the Congo, with which the mission transport its personnel, journalists, and staff of international and local non-governmental organization members. Toyota came out with some interesting news yesterday. They said that it's inevitable that the company is going to be forced to temporarily shut down all of its North American factories because of parts shortages due to the earthquake that hit Japan on March 11th. The temporary shutdowns are likely to take place later this month. They're going to affect 25,000 workers, but no layoffs are expected. Just how long the shutdowns last, or whether all 13 of Toyota's factories in the U.S. are going to be affected, depends on when parts production can resume in Japan. So far, the North American plants have been using parts in their inventory or relying on those parts that were shipped before the earthquake. Toyota only gets about 15% of its parts from Japan for cars and trucks built in North America, but according to a company spokesman, you still have to have them all to build the vehicles. Toyota has about 500 companies supplying parts in North America, but many of those companies get components from Japan. What will the workers do during the shutdown? They're going to focus on training and reviewing operations for ways to improve. The company said they can also take vacation or time off without pay. XL has come in with their numbers. They say that their likely net losses from the Japanese earthquake and tsunami will be between 190 million and 290 million US. The estimate is pre-tax and net of reinsurance and reinstatements. XL said that 70% of its losses are likely attributable to its reinsurance segment. Well, here's Frank O'Halloran from QBE. They had their earnings report today. They came out, they saw their share price rise by 3.3%. They issued an optimistic outlook for 2011 at their annual general meeting. They said that after Q1, their targeted full-year insurance profit remains in the range of 15 to 18%. O'Halloran said that a major cause of the company's 17% decline in profits from 2009 to 2010 was the drop in investment income, because QBE invests mainly in cash and short-term fixed interest products. And he said that the international nature of its investments and the company prevent it from taking full advantage of higher Australian interest rates. He said that a single percentage point rise in interest rates would add about 288 million US to post-tax profit. QBE, as we know, was very well protected by reinsurance programs in the wake of the Queensland floods. We'll go to a word from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news. Well, we've had all the brokers weighing in saying that they see no signs of a hardening market. It's about time that somebody who actually writes business and fixes premiums weighs in, and here it comes. Amlin is saying that early market signs are showing strong rate increases in areas impacted by major losses in 2011. This is according to Amlin London's underwriting director, Simon Beale. He was speaking after Amlin revealed that it expects an £80 million to $150 million hit from the Japanese quake and tsunami. Amlin said this is based on a review of cat reinsurance exposures and known exposures for property marine insurance accounts. Their estimates based on a market loss of $12 billion US to $25 billion. Amlin has also estimated its net claims from the Queensland flooding at £15 million, and the February 22nd earthquake in New Zealand is expected to cost them £110 million. Beale said that the scale of the losses means that any deterioration of these New Zealand and Japanese reinsurance loss estimates will be partly recoverable from our reinsurance. He went on to say that the company will continue to benefit from the diversity of its account in 2011. And here's the tagline: early market signs suggest that previously reported softening in certain areas will be arrested, and loss-affected areas will see strong rate increases. Not to be outdone, John Charman in Bermuda with Axis said that a major hurricane striking the U.S. this year could have a 9/11 style impact on the reinsurance industry because it would come on top of the massive Q1 cat losses. Charman said, of course, that the Bermuda market would be well placed to benefit from such a market location. He said he's already seen a momentum swing toward higher reinsurance rates after earthquakes in New Zealand and Japan this year. Quote, what we're talking about with the catastrophe activity that we've witnessed so far is a market change, a cyclical change. Charman was interviewed by our friend Jonathan Kent then in the Royal Gazette in Bermuda. He said, so it's driving an exit from the low part of the pricing cycle. This is not another 9/11. However, if there was a major hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico this year, it would be a 9/11 event to the industry because of the compounding impact it would have on top of the previous earthquakes. He went on to say that the reality of what we've seen so far in 2011 is a substantial erosion of profitability. It's not really a capital event. If on top of what we've experienced we have a major hurricane, then it becomes a capital event, and that's an industry-changing event. Charman points out the fact that the asset side of the balance sheet of reinsurers, which is critical to many companies in the industry, is now under enormous pressure because of low interest rates and low investment returns. Combine that with the $35 billion or so payout that they've had to make, maybe $50 billion in total, then you begin to add up with a possible undercapitalization. Swiss Re has redeemed the Class A tranche of indemnity-based securitization Crystal Credit cat bond, a 2008 deal that protected Swiss Re's claims and reserves on credit insurance in underwriting years 2006, 7, and 8. This is being reported by Artemis down in Bermuda. In February, Swiss Re listed aggregate paid losses of 720 million euros and aggregate reported losses of 778 million euros. The trigger for Tranche C was 666 million euros. Also, the trigger for Tranche B was 729 million euros. Proof of loss will be delivered in April 2012. That's in about 13 months, at which point the investors in the two lower tranches will formally learn their fate. Standard & Poor's said that it believes principal will most likely not be fully repaid at the note's legal maturity. Here's an interesting story. The head of France's Caisse Centrale de Réassurance, CCR, Thierry Masquelet, is to leave his position in the next few weeks. Masquelet was this was an unexpected exit. He had been confirmed in his position last June for another 5-year term as the chairman and CEO. He's going to remain at his post until April 28th. Masquelet was asked to leave his position by the company's only shareholder. That would be the French government. The decision does not appear to be linked to the company's performance, according to the French insurance newsletter La Lettre de l'Assurance. The government could have simply needed to free up the position ahead of next year's presidential election. Mr. Masquelet is 62 years old, and he has been the CEO of the state-owned reinsurer since 1997. There was a fast-moving weather system going through the southern U.S. today, killing at least 6 people. Packed high winds, hail, and lightning blew right through the region, knocked out power to hundreds of thousands, including in the metropolitan Atlanta area. About 20 possible tornadoes were reported around the region, according to the National Weather Service. Well, ACE Insurance in Bermuda is getting ready for a pretty hefty hull claim. This is all relating to the hole in the fuselage of the Southwest Airlines 737-300. Flight 812, of course, was diverted to Yuma International Airport, a Marine Corps base, after the aircraft's fuselage was ruptured. No one was badly hurt, but the insurers are going to get hit with a bill. According to market sources, ACE is the lead on the Southwest Airlines slip. The account's brokered by Willis, and it was just renewed back in December. Since the incident, inspectors have been analyzing Southwest Airlines' fleet with a fine-tooth comb. These inspections have since found small subsurface cracks on a further 2 737-300s, and repairs have now been undertaken. The airline has a fleet of 548 737s, and they've had to cancel about 300 flights on Saturday and Sunday. 100 more flights were canceled yesterday. Well, the FAA has finally gotten into the act. They've ordered mandatory inspections of 737-300s. There's a little history on this. The plane that we were just discussing that ACE is going to probably have to pay out on the claim had a busy 15-year life. It took off and landed more than 7 times a day on average. Federal aviation officials were preparing to issue an order today that calls for an emergency inspection on the 80 U.S. 737-300s. The order is aimed at finding weaknesses in the metal exterior. Fortunately, though, most of the aircraft have already been inspected by the time the order is going to take effect. There are only 175 737s worldwide. The 80, of course, are in the U.S. In the 80, nearly all are operated by Southwest, 78 of them, and 2 of them belong to Alaska Airlines. The rest of them are undoubtedly spread throughout Eastern Europe and Africa and Latin America. 737 has a little bit, the 300 series has a little bit of an unfortunate history. That was the one with the rudder problem that crashed in the airport in Pittsburgh back in 1995, I believe. So we'll see. I'm sure they'll get this straightened out. It's important to recognize that absolutely nothing happened that the pilots did not train for and prepare for every day. They made a rapid descent of 25,000 feet from 36,000 feet down to 10,000 or so in order to reach an area where they could remove the oxygen masks, and then the plane made a very safe and stable emergency landing. So stock market is getting slammed today. The services index in the U.S. went down big time. We'll keep an eye on that, and if we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. What was that?